So Logan was the film we all deserved. Hi all, it's Steph, and Logan was actually a really good film. A comic book film that didn't feel entirely comic booky. Based on an alternate universe Logan, but also in the same timeline as Patrick Stewart's Professor Xavier. It gets a bit complicated when you think about it too much, so maybe we just shouldn't think about it that way. We should just enjoy it as the film that it is. The Wolverine film. So this was Hugh Jackman's last Wolverine film, and oh boy was it a fantastic send-off for his character. Just beautiful, like a western feel kind of movie with all the blood and gore that we wanted when we found out that it was going to be an R-rated movie. Now I really did want it to be an 18, and it did end up being a 15 over here in the UK. And why? I really don't understand. Like, this movie had everything that I thought would make it an 18. There was blood, there was gut, there was brain matter, there was decapitation. Oh my god. It turned my stomach at points. There was just so much blood and gore everywhere, and the profanity, Patrick Stewart as Professor Xavier swearing. And I really think the only thing that would have pushed this to an 18 would have been graphic sex scenes. I wanted this film to be for adults, and adults exclusively, and despite the fact that it is a 15, I don't think it took away from the film at all. We really did get that gritty Wolverine film that we wanted when we found out it was R-rated. It was just wonderful. Now I think that they could have gone a different way with the ending, and I can see why they made the choices that they did with the plot and the cinematography, and it was all stunning. I don't really want to say much more than that because of spoilers, but speaking of spoilers, I cried a lot during this film. And I even cried a lot the second time I watched the film, despite knowing what was coming. And it certainly knows how to pull at my emotions. Now, I'm not going to go through deaths and who didn't die and what happened and stuff. Watch the film, you'll know exact moments when I started crying. Patrick Stewart was absolutely amazing in this role, and having him swearing as well, that shock factor was just mind-blowing. Professor X is old and losing his mind slightly, as we saw in the trailers, and it just makes sense that he would have a potty mouth at this point. And Hugh Jackman is just incredible in this role. He's just made for this role, and maybe that's a good thing and maybe that's a bad thing. He's just a perfect fit. And how he manages to pull off this entire film is beyond me. It's just mesmerising. Though I did feel like the villains in this story did fall into the same Marvel trap that it usually does, as having a lame, boring villain that's only just there to move the plot along. And I feel like when I saw Richard E. Grant appear on screen, I was like, bad guy. And I think that's a real shame, because he has just been typecast, and it did pull me out of the movie. I don't know how you guys felt, but that is exactly how I felt. But that might just be me. Maybe it's just because I've seen him as a bad guy in so many films. It just pulled me from the movie slightly. The same as seeing Stephen Merchant. Yes, being a comic relief character, kind of, I guess. But I was just, yeah, that's Stephen Merchant. And I feel like when I recognise like individual actors as actors and not their characters, it pulls me from the film. Finally, but most certainly not least, Daphne Keane was perfect, amazing, incredible. Just using the same words that I use all the time, but I don't think words can describe how amazing this young woman was. Her silent portrayal as Laura was just mind-blowing in this film, and if nothing else, you should watch the movie purely for her. This movie is a must-see. A brilliant send-off for Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, and it'll be interesting to see what direction that Fox Studios go in now, and they have so many options. I also found it really interesting that there was no end credit scene, an oddity in Marvel films these days. And many people were just sitting there towards the end of the credit, and then ended up disappointed that there wasn't anything. And I think it was a really good move on Fox's part to not include an end credit scene. The next film on Fox's timeline is Deadpool 2, and it would just be a complete offset for the tone that they've set for this movie, to then have Ryan Reynolds pop up as Deadpool in this kind of jokey, fourth wall breaking kind of way that really would have just changed the tone completely. And again, not spoiling the end of the film, but it would have wrecked it for me, so I say bravo to that decision. And I found out later that some cinemas were actually putting the Deadpool teaser trailer in front of the film, so having it more of like a trailer rather than an end credit scene. And I just think that's fantastic. That's the way it should be. And again, I'm just really happy that they did it this way. Although I do wish people would believe you when you say, there is nothing at the end, and they go, yeah, I'm gonna sit here anyway. And then they're still disappointed at the end. I did tell you. Just believe me when I say there's nothing at the end next time. Have you seen this film? Tell me what you think down in the comments below, but do try not to be too spoilery as some people might not have seen the film yet. And if you do want to talk specifics, please just hit me up on Twitter, because I love talking about films. And if you want to find the link, it is just in the description down below. But that is really all I have to say, other than stay nerdy.